okay, simple game. He's got a series of 3 numbers. He's got a rule that's in his head. And then the other people give a series of numbers and he'll say whether it fits the rule or not. Everyone following?
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here are the 3 numbers. 2, 4, 8. You don't need to continue the sequence. You can propose a totally different sequence, and I will simply say yes or no. That follows my rule.
2, 4, 8.
16, 32, and
64.
Those also follow my rule.
Okay.
What's the rule? What are you thinking?
Multiply by 2.
That is not my rule. Not my rule. Propose 3 other numbers.
3, 6, 12.
3, 6, 12 follows my rule.
10, 20, 40.
10, 20, 40.
That follows the rule.
Yeah, I'm still multiplying by 2.
I know.
Oh.
I know what you're doing. And yes, it follows my rule, but no, it's not my rule.
500, 1,000, 2,000.
Follows my rule.
Want me to keep going?
But do I just keep going? You're going to tell me your rule?
Like, think strategically about this.
So the strategic clue is that everyone's giving numbers that match his rule. So is anybody closer to the rule if they're giving numbers that get a yes?
Well, only one person said that he's multiplying by 2, but is it possible that it's a doubling rule?
Well,
Same thing.
you're also going that same direction that everyone's thinking. That's the cognitive bias that makes it hard to spot bullshit.
I think he might not be working in good faith. Just to trigger that.
Pankaj is wondering that it's good faith, but he gave you the rules out there. That he has an internal rule, he gives an example, then it's up to the other people to try to reverse engineer that rule.
You want information.
Yeah.
I have information.
Here's
the
a
point
clue.
of the 3 numbers, right, is to allow you to figure out what the rule is. Figure out what the rule is.
Okay, I'm going to give you the numbers that I don't think fits the sequence. And
That's a start.
Go backwards. Test it.
We're so used to being in school getting the right answer.
So give the wrong
that we
answer?
have a yes, because then you can sort of
3,
see
6,
what
9?
the rule is and what isn't the rule. But if you're always getting the right answer, you have no idea what the rule is.
Gotcha.
see what you say. 2, 4, 7.
Fits my rule.
So the rule is anything we say is yes.
No.
Damn it.
But you are on the right track now. Hit me with 3 numbers.
3, 6, 9.
Follows my rule.
Most of the people continued with a sequence of doubling the number or other confirming sequences.
6, 9.
Follows my rule.
Oh, that didn't follow my rule.
This is good, right?
5, 10, 15.
That follows my rule.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Follows the rule.
What about 7, 8, 9?
Follows the rule.
8, 16, 39.
Fits the rule.
1, 7, 13.
Follows the rule.
Oh, this could be another thing with narcissists. Sometimes you want to make them wrong. You can just say you're right to every answer. I think Sasha Sloan promoted that several years ago. She's not active on YouTube anymore. She had some good tips. Because they want someone to fight. They want someone to fight against. So if you give them nothing, you disagree, then they don't know what you're thinking. They want you to disagree, so you're reacting so they can gaslight you. They want you to know your position so that they can sabotage it. Without knowing the other person's position, you have less to work with.
11, 12, 13.
How does this
Follows
make
the rule.
sense?
10,
I don't
9,
know how
8.
to do this.
Does not follow the rule.
10, 9, 8 does not.
Oh, so is it all in ascending order?
Booyah.
Okay.
Up top. Yes, first
that
ones
what
to
it
get
is?
it. You guys nailed it. That's the rule. What was interesting for me was that everyone I spoke to came up with a rule very early on and then only proposed numbers that fit with that rule they were thinking. I was looking for you guys to propose a set of numbers that didn't follow your rule
Right.
and didn't follow my rule. I was looking for you guys not to try to confirm what you believe. Not to try to confirm what you believe. You're always asking something where you expect the answer to be yes, right? Like you're trying to get at it.
Yeah.
But instead you want to get the no.
You want to get the no because that's much more informational for you than the yes. Like if everything's
No,
giving a
that
yes.
is true. That is really true once you say that.
That is what's so important about the scientific method. We set out to disprove our theories, And it's when we can't disprove them that we say, this must be getting at something really true about our reality. So I think we should do that in all aspects of our lives. If you think that something is true, you should try as hard as you can to disprove it. Hard as you can to disprove it. Only then can you really get at the truth and not fool yourself.
Welcome, Aneacon. Welcome, Douglas. How's it land? Does anybody see parallels in how this could be useful with gaslighting, narcissists, borderline, abusive bosses, family members?
So consider
And-
the opposite of what you think is the truth, maybe?
Well, another way they frame it is steel manning, but that sort of is abstract. So you try to steel man the opponent's argument, and then you try to knock it down. Or then you consider
what
the
is steel man?
opposition. So it's sort of the
Opposed to
opposite of straw man. So do you know what straw man is?
Yeah.
So straw man is you take the other person's position and you distort it into something weaker, and then you attack the weaker argument. Steel man is the opposite. You're supposed to try to build up the other person's argument so it's almost undefeatable. Then you look for the whole. This is more so if you have something that you're trying to test out, your position, instead of using confirmation bias, where you're trying to look for all evidence to steel man your argument. That doesn't prepare you for a gaslighting, because a gaslighter can just do something that surprises you, and then you're off balance. And also, if you confirmation bias, there's a tendency that you're going to go after shared fantasy, because it feels good to be right. It feels bad to be wrong, right? Ooh. No comments? Okay.
I was watching,
next example.
scammers. There's a channel where there's people in Bangladesh and India, certain places in Karachi, etc., doing scamming. And this guy, he's a reverse scammer, so he scams them. And in one of the videos, I was blown away. He managed to get into their computer and look at the text file of how they're going to read what they're going to say when they're scamming. How they guide the person, the victim, to the whole thing, and the person is saying, yes, 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 to totally get into their space. And you're totally convinced by the fourth or fifth minute. They said, just, excuse me, sir, just wait 1 minute, I'll check with this. And they will wait a minute and come back. That's how real it is. To the extent of transferring money into their account, and they can get into their computers and do this and stuff. So it's like, yeah, I was just blown away by the skill. It's like they have total empathy and understand how you're thinking.
So they're creating the simulation that it's an authentic bank, and then there's like someone, a manager and all this stuff, and it's on a script. It's on a computer screen that you got to see.
It's just, I was a bit spooked because it was just so like
authentic feeling. So he's creating a feeling, impression management, something that narcissists are supposedly very good at.
And
so
they talk all the things that you are really concerned about, that we don't want someone to hack your account. They're the ones who are doing it.
Oh, and then that's sort of like a borderline double bind. They'll do the behavior they're judging you for, and they'll be totally outraged while they're doing it. That's the mindfuck. That's really hard to see through, because it's just super cognitive dissonance. So when you saw that, Pankaj, what did it feel like? I mean, how long did it take to digest that?
I felt really, really horrible inside, because a similar thing happened a few months ago personally to me with the freezer thing that I might have mentioned. So what this guy, the guy who came to buy the freezer, told me the story of how he was actually going to do it, but it was about him. I won't get more with the details, but it was like he did the script and I followed the script as if someone else is trying to do a dirty on me, but it was him that was doing the dirty. So I've totally bought his thing, and then at the end of it, I just felt this sickening feeling. I didn't care about the loss of the freezer as much. It was this being taken for a ride.
How you got duped.
Yep, and taken for a ride, and our people like that. I became hyper vigilant, and I was just like a fucked up brain. But I got sick. Yeah.
You got duped, and then that person exposed your blind spots. So if you aren't trying to hack your belief system actively,
I welcomed
you
him.
put yourself at risk in the real world for a con man job.
I got him into my house, met my folks. He changed address. He became my Facebook friend that night. So this is just like, how could you, just for a few $1,000, you know? But it was that didn't matter to me in my feeling. It was this thing of, how could I get this thing so wrong? That was the thing.
You suspended disbelief.
Yes.
That's, you bought into a shared fantasy. This is a giant issue of codependence. And also, if you watch tons of Hollywood and TV shows, the TV shows in Hollywood require you to suspend disbelief to enjoy the show. And if you fall for love bombing, you also need to suspend disbelief and skepticism and say, this is the perfect person, finally arrived. You're suspending your doubt mechanism. And then when you suspend your doubt mechanism, you're susceptible to gaslighting. You're more susceptible to gaslighting because gaslighting is sowing doubt, knocks you off balance. If you knock yourself off balance more, then you're sort of preparing yourself for the real world. There are going to be con people. There are going to be people who...
And Pankaj, people do this for $10, not $1,000. I mean, I don't know why you say just 1,000. That's like 100 times more likely for it to happen.
With bigger numbers?
What was amazing was that I said, what are you going to do that, what are you going to use the freezer for anyway? And he said, oh, I'm going to do this and this, these meats. I said, the big market here is the vegan space.
It's going to sell it for $1,000.
Yeah, but the thing is that he put into that. He said, I got space in Tauranga. I'm building a shed. We could maybe manufacture together. We could, and I'm just buying it up, and I'm just, boom, gone.
If a claim seems too good to be true,
that's the thing. That
is time to consider higher chains of bullshit. I guess we talked about confirmation bias. That was the question of that example. And then working with multiple hypotheses, that's another, expanding your mind to consider different perspectives. That's probably hard. Thinking in orders of magnitude, I forgot what that was. Anyone know what that means? And beware of unfair comparisons. So I'd say that's like false equivalencies. That's trickier to spot. But Liz commented, what did Liz comment? It reminded me of always trying to figure out their game, to learn how to play it, to avoid the mindfuck of confusion, or figure out their secrets they withhold. So were you successful at figuring out their game, or you just got lost?
I think I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm in a custody situation, so I'm always trying to figure it out.
Have you heard of narcissistic supply?
Yes, and I limit my...
As far as predicting his behavior that he wants to apply, does that?
Yes, I'm starting to identify some of the behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I'm always doing detective work to try to figure out the intentions. Like when he's super nice, I'm like, what are you hiding? Or just trying to figure out like what happens when my daughter is with him by putting like little pieces together. And I kind of just don't want to do that. You know, like I had therapy this week and my therapist was like, you know, you really shouldn't just always be a detective.
Your therapist is telling you to do that with someone who's been proven as a deceptive.
No, she's telling me not to be the detective. She's telling me not to do that.
Why?
Because she's like, your mind's always going.
What's her alternative then?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that that's
This
a
is
black and white. I think that maybe it's fine if she said don't always be worried about it, but that has to go with something else. Like,
yes, there has to be an alternative outside of just stop.
Yeah, because assume that he's always out to get you, and don't bother trying to think about his game. You know?
No, I think she was referring to when my daughter's not with me, trying to put the pieces together to figure out like what's going on when she's with him. You know, through his little
don't do that.
clues.
Yeah, no, don't do that part. Yeah. Just assume that he's saying horrible shit about you and he's manipulating her and move on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think the worst. That's a shortcut. So. It'll probably be close.
Yeah. Think the worst, work backwards. Yeah. You're going to rip me off and work backwards to let's fall in love and get married.
That's a variation of the first one. If the claim seems too good to be true, you could assume the worst until their behavior is proven. Especially if their pattern of behavior is abusive, lying, whatever. So you might as well assume the worst until they prove differently.
Point.
Also, you could say, watch what they do versus what they say. So you could try to make a record of their promises and their behaviors. When does it match? When does it not match? And when it matches, I would assume, if they're after narcissistic supply, it's because you have consequences or leverage. That's when they behave properly.
Yeah. I think that kind of hypervigilance is counter productive for trying to heal, though. Like keeping a scorecard only works if you have a pending court case or some potential place where this is going to matter, because it doesn't matter in life. You can keep that scorecard as long as you want, and they're still going to fuck you over, and you're still going to be the one paying, and you're still going to be sitting there trying to figure it out and prove to someone, some non-existent arbiter of fairness, that it's not fair.
Well, yeah, if you keep the scorecard for resentment, but if you keep a scorecard for an objective list of actual behavior change, that could let you sort of let go of obsessing about it, because you have this pattern, this Excel spreadsheet. This is the only time they've followed their word. You could reverse engineer when you have leverage, because they're actually, a narcissist usually would tell you what their buttons are, but sometimes you don't believe it. Because the place that you don't want to go, the place they make the biggest fuss about, that's their button. So, does that make sense? Some of the stuff we're just randomly throwing out there for you, Liz.
Yeah. In a way, kind of.
Because a therapist is not going to teach you to be strategic, I would guess, right?
No.
Yeah. Or the therapist is going to try to get you to feel better, so they're just going to get you to focus on your feelings.
Correct.
Not related to how your partner is manipulating your co-parenting and all this other stuff. They're going to try to guide you away from that because they have no answers.
Yeah, they have to kind of be neutral in that aspect.
Or they want to be neutral. Yeah, they can't take sides. What fun is that? Welcome, Carlos. Came back. most excited. But we're so mellow today. So far. So thinking about bullshit, if the person has an agenda, if the person can benefit by lying, like getting a free freezer, save $1,000, then that's... If there's some benefit for the person to put a position or a lie, then that's a red flag that codependence can somehow develop. How do we teach that?
I'm just reliving one other part of it. I mentioned about the issues with our brother and stuff. So while I'm making lunch for him, he's telling me how he's been done by his brother. And they got into a business deal and this happened and that happened. And I'm totally...
Oh, did you share your story first?
Yeah, just a little bit, just a snippet of it, just some issues with the family. He said about what? He said, oh, stuff with my brother, something happened.
See, so you overshared about your brother, then he said,
yes.
Oh, I have a brother that I got cheated with.
Yeah.
Then he read your reaction of lowering the guard and rapport.
Yeah, then I opened up.
And he started amplifying to build rapport. They teach this in marketing. I used to do this in Amway. Oh, you went to Virginia Tech? I went to Virginia. I went to this school. Oh, you did this? Me too. And you just build a quick friendship.
In detail, I remember how his brother doesn't care about the whole family. He doesn't give a fuck and stuff. But one thing that was very interesting is when he left and we shook hands, I felt in my body something had changed, that this doesn't feel right. I could tell, when I remember back, I felt in my body. But I just rejected that and I said, yeah, he's going to come tomorrow and pick up the freezer and it's all good. It was actually amazing. It was like an art form. it was
treating others as we want to be treated is a sucker's play.
Yeah.
Be nice, be honest, but do not allow yourself to be screwed. Sounds a bit easier said than done. Draw the line at places when you might be taken advantage of.
Well, in this case, it's drawing a line at letting someone walk off your property with your property.
Story.
That's pretty obvious, but for some reason that wasn't a line that was in his head.
Someone just committed suicide. I've got to go, mate. Just give me your bank details. I'll put it in. I'm running. He's in the car.
No, I understand. But
that was the rush issue.
But wanting to believe the other person is honest, wanting to believe they're like you. Yeah.
The urgency of the timing got Pankaj to forget his needs. Okay, so this is sort of the technique. By that person building rapport, he got into your blind spot.
Yeah.
Once he's in your blind spot, you start feeling for him just like you feel for you.
Yeah, be suspicious when people start talking about shit that has nothing to do with the transaction at hand.
Once you're part of the tribe, then he prioritizes his feelings over your money for the freezer. Once you fall for being responsible for the other person's feelings, a narcissistic attack, right? They guilt trip you and say, you harm feelings and you're responsible for that. And once you're arguing about that, it's a lost cause. Because the person that's chasing is losing. Because it's a game. And it's hard to teach that this game is going on. And it's hard to practice because we're human. Once we feel like we're a friend of a person, we care about their feelings generally. It's hard to cut that off. But that's our blind spot. Then the person can now hack into our system, that trust system.
It's even...
And you still have energy, Pankaj. Because people see Pankaj is still bothered by this.
Yeah, because one of our mutual friends who knew someone and actually got the money back, $2,500. But...
Oh, you got the money back.
I got the money, but that doesn't... It's not the issue. But the thing is that 2 weeks ago, I see a like on one of my Facebook posts from an old photo. I don't go on Facebook very much. And it's him. He's still there. And
So
it's
you
just
like something on you because maybe you wanted to get a one-up on you or something like that?
I don't know what sort of mindset. I'm still his Facebook friend. But there's a like, and a part of me wants to still go and meet him and say, what was that all about? Because I think you're a nice guy. Part of me wants to gaslight me.
Well, Dan C posted a comment on a YouTube video on invalidation of coaching. And it felt like that was sort of like, oh, I'm still judging you.
Yeah, weird is
Little
that?
sort of dig. Because they get sadistic supply from duping people. Because there is a high. So this is another example. I call this Maybe Man. This is from Carl Sagan, his book.
As the great Carl Sagan once asked us to, let's imagine one day I pull you aside and tell you, I've got a dragon living in my garage. What? I go out to the garage last night, door opens, and boom, a dragon. And he's dancing. Dancing? Dancing. Tearing it up. Kicking ass. You are skeptical. So we go out to the garage, and when it opens, of course...
You're not just skeptical, you're hooked. I think, was it Hitler or someone said the bigger the lie, the easier the sell?
The bigger the seduction, yeah.
So you gotta make a sell, a pitch. The bigger the lie, the more harder to believe. If that person sells it, now you're hooked. You wanna see it proven. Now you're chasing.
Nothing. Sometimes he's invisible, I say. Convenient, but you're a good critical thinker, so you tell me you've got a few ideas. We'll spread flour on the ground so we can track the dragon's footprints, set up an infrared camera so we can catch the dragon's heat, and spray the thing so we can see its shape. What do you think? None of that will work. It floats so there's no footprints, the fire is heatless, and it's incorporeal so it has no shape. Now let's clean up this flour, it's probably pissing off the dragon. Okay, so you know this is nonsense, but why? Articulating the...
No, he presented it too fast. You only know after you've chased like 4 or 5 times. Because now you're on a mystery hunt. Now you're hooked. There's a mystery. Once there's a mystery, you're like going, I want to follow. And then now you have sunk cost. That's one of the cognitive biases, right? You've invested time to believe it. And the person who's pitching it is pitching it with confidence. So now you've wasted the time, so you want to believe that it's true. Because the claim is outrageous and he's believing it, but it's a claim that can't be disproven based on his constant shifting rules. So that's was one of his 10 traits. Which one was it? Can it be disproven? Number 5. So if someone makes a claim that can't be disproven, or there aren't facts that can disprove it, then it's a wild goose chase. Or you argue realities. That sometimes happens in here in codependence, or even in real life. Once it's just 2 people arguing different realities, 2 different perspectives, you can't disprove the other person's perspective. You can't overprove yours, so it's just a waste of an argument.
Precise reason is important, and in this case it's nonsense because my claim can't be falsified. Every test you propose, I counter with a special explanation as to why it won't work.
So this is where I call it Maybe Man. So Maybe Man is a common workshop audience answer, where all they have to do is say, maybe in some hypothetical, whatever you're presenting wouldn't work 100% of the time. And you can sabotage almost any argument with Maybe Man. So it's a variation of this this dragon example. If it can't be falsified, then it's a claim. It's a baseless claim. A lot of times YouTube has that. People make a baseless claim, then judge you like maliciously crazy. Then they don't respond back to you. It's just a giant hit and run attack. Is anyone following this? How's it following?
It's very eye-opening, I'll say that. Reliving some of these, I'm rethinking some of these moments, and it's very eye-opening. Yeah.
Which one did you resonate with, or both of them, or what did it trigger?
Well,
or was it Punkage's story about getting ripped off, but he got his $2,000 back? So,
no, not necessarily that. Well, I mean, just kind of how you summed it up there. The two different realities, the worthless argument between the two realities, and over arguing your reality, and then
you can't prove it, right? The person
you can't.
Yeah, and you
right.
And if the person just wants to suck your time, or just to make you chase, it's just.
Isn't that a lot like the stories that we sometimes get when someone comes in for the first time to this group, and they say, "Well, my parents did this, and my family did this," and we try to come up with solutions and fixes, and then it morphs and it changes and it becomes something else, and 20, 50, 80 minutes later, we're like, there is no solution, but yeah, 8 hours later, exactly. And we've like solved. Yeah, we've solved every single one of the problems that they presented, but somehow at the end, it's not solvable.
Oh no, and as soon as you solve
that's where you're doing the confirmation bias. You're trying to chase the right answer. You want to get more no's to get to the right problem. Yeah. Which is hard. Or they could be disingenuous and pulling you on the string, sure.
I mean,
but if you get more no's, you had someone.
Yeah, I mean, well, sorry to interrupt, by the way.
No.
I've had someone actually even tell me directly to my face, well, if you just see my reality, we can fix this. Just verbatim, they said that.
Well,
and I was just
that's
like,
honesty.
Were you married to my ex-wife?
Yeah.
Are you?
True,
No, I'm not.
If you could just see my reality, things would be so much easier.
You argue with that?
I would be so happy if you just see my reality. How do you respond to that?
I was speechless. At the moment, I was very speechless.
Yeah, you get the fuck out of there.
That's what yeah.
You say, is that the time? I really need to be going.
At that time, I didn't even know someone would actually say that. That's why it caught me so off guard. I just don't know any other person. I mean, I guess everyone else here does know. I'm the newbie here. So
no. I mean, I lived with my ex for 15 years, so I'm not judging you.
We all judge.
No, I don't mean like I'm just surprised everyone knows what I'm talking about. I thought this was one crazy incident that there was no way this is like that's how shocking this all is. Very eye-opening.
Oh. I said it. No one knows it until you've experienced it. Then you can connect with other people who know it.
Right.
But look at what we're doing to him. Now he's realizing there's more danger in the world. It's not just one special person that was crazy.
Yes, be afraid. They're everywhere. Watch out.
Now your world is starting to collapse. There's active deception. There's active con people, not just in America, also in New Zealand.
I thought it was a cut-off in Australia, but they've infiltrated, you see.
Yeah, it's Tauranga. That's a funny thing.
They all escaped from Australia. Really, they're all from Australia?
They all started from Australia.
You haven't
and
been to
invaded the
Tauranga.
world.
You don't know what it's like.
It's so peaceful. You know, it's like everywhere. You live
Actually, I will come to Pankaj's defense because New Zealanders are the world's nicest people. It's frightening how nice they are. And I think this is probably a cultural thing where you just trust everybody. And it would be very jarring for a Kiwi to rip you off. And I get it, but you know, it still doesn't mean that they're not out there.
I mean, I had a food show and someone bought something and they were $1 short of something. And they said, give me your bank account. And I put it in. I said, don't worry about it. He said, give me your bank account. And yet they put in $1 into my bank account.
Reflection on your banking system. But yes, that's exactly how it works.
It's just like...
Yeah, it's too nice. They're too nice.
So how can we teach people this? Because this is the issue, if you can pay attention to this.
Think out of the box. If there's one thing that you could do to, like, you'd want to see or just throw out there in terms of a revolution or a change in psychoanalytic psychotherapy from your years of practice, what would it be? Just radical.
Stop listening to the content of what the patient is telling you and read the interaction.
So if psychotherapy gets lost in the content and isn't reading the interaction, isn't seeing inconsistencies in behavior.
It's a phone call from New Zealand. Hang on.
Oh. Little clues of potential deception or personal biases or unfair exchange. If you're listening just to the content of the other person, or even your head, if you're listening to your cognitive bias and you're not reading the interaction. Or you're punished for reading the interaction. Which is part of gaslighting. They'll get into language. This is what this means, this is what that means, this is what that means. You're misinterpreting me.
What things do you look for to, quote, read the interaction, and how do you know, how do you have the knowledge to know that you're reading it properly? Or is it just
Practice.
intuitive?
Your intuition, yeah. So like Pankaj said, when the guy was driving away, he had a dissonance feeling in his body. Because once the guy was driving away, now there was a separation between him and that person. Now he remembered himself. Once the rapport is built, Pankaj and that guy are the same side. That guy had a brother who got betrayed him and blah blah. They're similar, so he's like my old buddy. That's the shortcut, the con game. But then once that person's leaving, then you start separating, and then you notice, oh, something's off, and it's sort of too late because we're programmed to be
there was
polite.
A crazy thing that even though it was happening, because I wasn't trusting in my as much then, this being with you has been so revolutionary for me. But that was still a business kind of an interaction. I'm very interested what Brad, the comment you wrote, that you can do it at the business level and a friend level, but at the romantic level, it makes it so much more complicated, what Ken was talking about.
Yeah, affairs of the heart. The minute you tap into that very vulnerable part of someone, you want to believe in. And I think that's it. You can be very cold and calculating in business. That's easy because there's no emotional charge. It's purely financial transactions. But when you put, you've got
Your
love
heart.
and those soft feelings, then it's a different game.
I have a question. So they tell you not to call them out on their bullshit, right? But
Okay.
like, how do you not call them out on their bullshit? Like, how do you do it
Why wouldn't
effectively?
you call that bullshit?
How do you do it and get away with it? That's sort of
Yeah,
act
without
3.
them revenging on you somehow, some way.
So that's sort of act 3, but it's kind of hard to say. So you have to disarm their argument with ridicule or you have to let somebody else or reality prove their argument wrong.
Shame usually works too.
Yeah, shame. So you have to use shame and humor. Liz, are you dealing more with a narcissist or borderline, or do you know what any
I believe he's a
classifications?
narcissist.
Okay. So a
And
narcissist.
when we were talking about like the claim and stuff, it just brought the thought of how he used to walk around telling people that he owns his own business when he clearly had a friend who was a contractor and would just give him jobs, and then he would have people help him, but he made it seem like, and I knew it was bullshit, you know, but like that other man had said, once you're caught up in the relationship, it's a little difficult to just turn your blind eye and walk away. But when I left him, I did call him out, and I was like, you know, you walk around telling people you got a business when you got nothing but a business card, you know. But
yeah,
I feel like now that I have to deal with him with my daughter, I don't even communicate with him. I don't even look at him during exchanges, but I do want to be sarcastic in a nasty way, but I just know that that can lead to revenge on his behalf. So it's like, how do I do it where I stab him and stab him and stab him 1,000 times?
And he doesn't see.
And just keep hurting him.
You need a clove of garlic and a cross.
This is sort of after party type question or late after party question.
I think it hurts him more not to let him know that you're revved up. You know,
don't give
the
fucking
Ray Ross
boring
thing.
answer like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
How
talk
do
to
we
him,
make
period.
a narcissist really hurt? That's the question.
Yeah.
Right?
How do you call him out on their bullshit?
Is scared of public embarrassment. So if you call him out one-on-one, he can defend it. He can spin it. He can blame it back on you. You have to position him where he'll fall on his face publicly.
Smear campaign.
Could be a smear campaign, but with a narcissist, if their ego is big, you could build up their ego so much that they're going to fall on their face because you've inflated their blind spot.
Just reveal the true nature of that fake business somehow.
Yes, see? So you could amplify the business somehow.
Just say, hey, where's your website, mate? How's that going? Or, you know, something, you know, like that, just to prove it. But
you could use social media.
Yeah.
You don't need to do it. You don't need to get him to concede. You want the world to see him as a failure. You don't need to see him as a failure because he's worried about the public shaming. You shaming him gives him a target to get angry at. It validates his victim story.
Oh, just tell him I got a bunch of referrals for you. You know, go for it, and then let him fall on his face because.
Yeah, let's go to the office. Show me the office. Yeah, how's that looking?
Yeah, and like you had said, building up the ego, for me, that's like challenging because I don't want to give him any time or attention to even make you think like anything.
Yep, but that's what he's expecting from you. You're confirming a pattern of behavior that he's used to. Oh, so this was covered in language traps. So that's more advanced, but a narcissist has a snapshot of you. So he has a one-dimensional picture of you. And then the stuff that he likes about you, he's going to compliment. And the stuff that he finds annoying about you, he's going to criticize. So you need to write this down, the stuff that he gives you reinforcement, that's the stuff he likes. And the stuff that he is annoyed by, he's going to keep telling you.
And then to piss him off,
yes.
do more of the things in the other. So you piss him off by doing all the things he doesn't like.
So you do all the opposite, but you say you're going to do all the stuff he likes. And you say you're going to change all the stuff he doesn't like. But your actions are the opposite. There's a roadmap from Sam Backman.
Yes, I remember. It's like a mindfuck.
That really messes up their mind because they see you as a one-dimensional person.
Well, and she has
and
to
as long
find
as you're
leverage.
fighting from that, they're stable, Holly.
She has to have leverage. She needs leverage. So what?
No.
What is? Okay.
The snapshot is you're destabilizing the narcissist's one-dimensional picture of you.
You're inducing cognitive dissonance on a grand scale.
Then you can gain leverage as they have cognitive dissonance. So if you get good at doing the snapshot dissonance, they're going to be off balance. So then you can start matching their snapshot, and that can give you some leverage. And then you can do a common enemy intimacy. So you trigger their paranoia about some waste of a threat. Now you're guiding them and you're helping, and then you can sabotage them in the background. But this is also really late after party type, vicious type, non-nice type tips. But you asked, so. And it's on the internet, YouTube, or Sam Backman lays out a script, so it's not new. How's that feel, Liz?
I'm writing it down. I'm just.
We're not responsible for anything. This is just some random person
I'm
on
taking
the
my little
internet.
notes. Just how to go about that when I don't even I'm literally no contact. Like there's no communication. So I'm leaning towards, I know Holly tells me all the time, build up their ego, build up their ego. So I gotta let down my pride, and I don't know.
Yeah, if your pride of wanting to get even, that creates a cognitive bias on you of how to get even.
Well, it's not really it's not really trying to get even. It's more like, I don't like you, so you're not there. I'm gonna take my daughter and keep it moving. So it's like you're
so
not
what's the message you
existent
want
to
him to
me.
get? You want him to feel like you're dead to me?
Yeah, basically. And that's what that's pretty much what it's like.
And why do you care that he gets that message?
Because I want you to know that you don't deserve my respect, I guess. But then there's a challenge because we share a child. So it's like, we have to communicate in some way, some form to make it look positive for her? And then how do you communicate with someone who you don't like? Like you really just don't like them.
As soon as you want something from the narcissist, you're over a barrel. That's the problem.
Well, now you're chasing because you want him to feel something.
I
want him to feel something. That's wanting something out of him.
Yeah, you already expressed a need. You hidden in those phrases. You already expressed that you needed something from him. You wanted him to fill in the blank.
I understand. To know. I want it. The minute you do that, it's game on.
Because he can read that reaction. That's what they're good at.
Yeah. The minute
Their
you
wanting
want
revenge
something
doesn't
from
work.
them, they will withhold it.
No, it can work, but if they know you're wanting revenge and you're consumed by it, you don't see anything else.
Right.
You're not
and you're engaged.
playing the game. You have to think strategically. You can still get revenge, but you can't lead with that. Because now you're consumed by the emotion and they're faster than you. It's a little complicated. But
yeah, I gotta learn how to be strategic.
Yes, see, now you're starting to think right. You have to outthink them. If you're trying to out-emotion them, they're faster with emotions. They're faster with instincts. That's not your edge. You can outthink them.
You'll use logic, they'll use emotions. And that's going to be a disconnect.
Gotcha.
Because I make all these plans that I might do this like in my head, but when it comes to do it, it just doesn't feel right to do it.
Bingo. That's it.
Because just in case, like what Kian was saying, just in case, their worldview had a thing, maybe I should adjust my worldview and
That's the hook. That's the hook, right? That keeps you in that space of neediness.
Delicious.
Got to give it up somehow.
So was that, Pankaj, you can't execute your plan?
Even the thought of it, it says...
In a moment?
No, if I was strategic, there was I would look. This family member is famous. I could do so much damage, like irrevocable damage. But and a thought had come when I was angry, but now it's calmed down. Now I just feel horrible even doing it feels
Oh,
horrible.
fuck that. Go for it.
So that's why I was talking of the
Maybe
honeymoon.
start small. Start like burning insects with a magnifying glass.
Throw some sheep at it. Good start.
It's just
You got to learn how to have some teeth.
I can
Some people,
see
a lot of people have that issue.
Kurt's nickling away there. It's that horrible feeling that even if you want to do it, when you're about to do it, and they say, "No, I just don't feel like it. This is just wrong."
Yeah, because because underneath all of this, there's still a little bit of you that goes, "Oh, I think he wants to still be my baby brother," and that's what keeps you from doing anything about it.
Right.
Oh,
That's
this is
why
what
you're better off not trying to walk down that path that doesn't fit with your soul. If you're not that person, don't even try. Just fucking
you don't want to
give up.
Saint
Yeah,
Kurt.
if you don't want revenge, you don't have to do it. Liz asked for it, but you don't have to
Gospel of
choose a
Kurt.
dark path.
But if it's in your soul, fucking kill him.
But it came to pass. It's true. That's. But if it's not in you to be that, don't be it. But that's sort of the roadblock. And maybe you can't do it. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Like, I want to kill my mother, but it's probably best if I don't. It's as simple as that. God will take care of her. No, he doesn't want her either, but that's okay.
But what if somebody does have a lot of vengeance in their body? Or resentment, codependent resentment. Want to get even. If you tamp that down with this fallen self of being a nice person.
Go crazy on the meetup page.
So it's going to come out sideways.
Yeah.
So if it comes out sideways, then now you have evidence how you're not as nice as you think you want to be. So then you haven't integrated your shadow side, which is a lifetime process because there's always more shadow you can integrate.
Yes.
Or even if you integrate all of your shadow, then you can merge into other people's shadow because that's part of being human. So then their viciousness can merge with you, and that also has to be processed out.
But a lot of that rage, they know, and they know that you won't express it. And it's almost like they can keep you in that.
Oh, that can be leverage.
Right? And it's like, I know you're not going to do this, so you keep going. Although my narcissistic ex did say to me, I am genuinely scared of you today. And I'm like, good, that's where I want you.
We need some like first-hand narcissists. I wonder if they can sense that.
I'm a narcissist.
Let me push you to the edge, and I recognize you're holding back. Once I got you holding back, now I can push you further. I suspect that some narcissists could probably feel that out.
But
they're using your niceness against you. Actually, Lee Hammock has said that.
Yeah,
a narcissist will use your niceness against you.
When you snap, oh, look at you, you're unhinged. It's when they sit there and they smile at you and gaslight you and do all that, and then you snap and go, oh, look how unhinged and crazy you are.
I think we're scaring Kian.
No, I'm
gasping?
just no, I'm not. I'm just
reliving,
reframing, reframing a lot of stuff. That's all it is. This is good. I'm just
This is trying to teach you how to recognize the game first.
Yeah.
You can't recognize the game. You've just been being played for the whole relationship. Not just the whole relationship, probably your childhood too. So your whole life has been, your strings have been pulled.
Well, your feelings of rage are being denied. As they sit there smiling very calmly at you and gaslighting you, they're actually denying your feelings of rage, so that when you do have them, then they can say, "Oh, well, you're so unhinged." And I think that's a lovely little twist of the knife, that one.
Feelings weren't safe. So if you grew up in a family system where the feelings got quashed or the strongest person could run over it, or your tears were held back because it was dangerous, somehow you had some awareness or program of saying emoting is dangerous. For me, my dad controlled all the anger, so I don't have fluid anger. That's partially why I had my adult traumas of getting run over or kidnapped, because I couldn't channel anger. And
Yeah,
it
you
wasn't
said
an
you don't
injunction. I just didn't have the experience of channeling anger, because in my family household, my dad had anger, and then I had no defense. It just flooded me. Holly?
No, I was just recalling that you said you don't have the gift of resentment or the capacity.
Well, that's
for
the other
resentment.
side of anger. So I can't really channel anger fluidly. It's just raw. I don't have the nuance with language. And then on the flip side, I can't add a story to hold resentment. At least not in a human way. I have it as sort of a reptile way.
Well, don't we all have it in that reptile way from the amygdala?
Most people do it in the mammal way, the ape shit way. That's where my ape shit, I would say, is probably more like crocodile. But it's probably similar.
But it doesn't build up; it snaps. And I think
that's a turtle snap turtle. I have snap turtle ape shit. It's just
you don't get a warning; you just get a snap.
And then boom.
Yeah. So I don't have the mammal. I don't know how to titrate it to be effective in
It's on
normal
off.
mammal to mammal battle. Yeah. So if you grow up and you've been divorced from your full expression of emotions for whatever reason, then as an adult, maybe a narcissist or borderline or abuser, they can sense your hesitancy with emotions. And once they sense that, now they can use that against you. And then you want to believe the bullshit of their story. That's their cover story, because you don't want to own up your vulnerability. You don't own up that you can't express these emotions or you have stuck emotions. They're sort of acting out your stuck emotions for you, giving you a bullshit story. You're telling yourself a bullshit story. That's the shared fantasy. And then if you get the bullshit story of the other person is responsible for your feelings, just like the narcissist does for you, now you're both enmeshed. The other person's at fault for my feelings, and the narcissist is better at blaming you, and you're always chasing.
Yeah.
So now we're on invalidation therapy. This is a hard sell, but this is sort of what this meetup group is. One of the underlying principles is trying to teach you how to use invalidation, or how to invalidate your fantasy so you get stuck in reality, so that reality invalidates your shared fantasy. Not necessarily me, but sometimes I might be the agent. Where is it?
The worst kind of therapy in my mind is the therapy that never challenges, We all, as therapists, have seen cases that have gone on for 10 and more years.
Oh, wait. Kurt was saying he needs a safe space. It's his birthday. Let's
Happy birthday, Kurt.
give him some hugs before invalidation comes. He was probably joking. But the new people, this Or this isn't that bad, but now we're going to try to escalate a little because
Oh.
it's the last 20 minutes or something.
Where the therapist only reflects the patient's unrealistic narrative, and it seems to be an ineffective, to put it mildly, use of therapy.
I say it from my own experience, which is going to garden variety therapists.
Yeah.
Where my life would be like collapsing all around me, relationships would just be decimating. And
so the content of her life is falling apart. But people get stuck in the environment of her life is that. But people get stuck in a story saying, oh, you're right. You're never wrong.
I was right. I was right. I was right. You know?
Empty validation. Most of the support groups you'll go to say, oh, you're so harmed. You're right. Pankaj, you were right. That person conned you. You should blame him and hate him forever. You're right. What does that get you?
As a therapist, the most central part of our job is to empathize with the patient's mind.
Now, this is a very important nuance because empathy is sort of a vague word that just gets thrown out there.
Now, I think those therapies, supportive, tend to offer sympathy rather than empathy.
So a sympathy plea is a plea for pity. Please feel bad because I feel bad. That's sympathy. And also can be used as a victim plea card. So I'm the bigger victim. Have pity on me. Give me mercy or give me more attention. Pity plea. Not good or bad, but it's a pity plea. And narcissists often are the greatest victim. Or they're good at playing the victim. Lee Hammock has tons of videos where he owns that. Actually gets joy of winning the victim card.
Because sympathy doesn't go beyond what the patient is aware of. Empathy is to be in touch with both what the patient is aware of in him or herself, and also to be in touch with parts of them that they can't think about yet, because it's too scary. The empty parts, the aggressive parts of them that they can't think about yet.
With codependence, that's the parts of them that can fight. That's the parts of them that have emotion. That's the parts of them that feel vulnerable. The parts of them that said, I'm never again going to let this feeling happen or this happen again and whatnot. That's Grandin's trap. The exiled parts ends up being what's in control of your whole life.
That lady who made me feel like a horrible sadistic monster. My empathy for her was to help her realize she had her own aggression and that didn't make her a bad person. It's really hard.
This is super hard in codependence groups because showing aggression is judged as a bad thing because of conflict aversion. Aggression means danger's coming. Aggression means murderizing. Aggression means I starve. Aggression gets equated to danger. But if you've outlawed aggression, you can't protect yourself. You can't yell at a judge and win. That's like a giant win for Debbie, to yell at the judge publicly and publicly shame her and win the argument. That's better than I can do.
To get people to see things in themselves that are horrifying for them to see. And we have to try to make it as palatable as possible.
That's the second hard part. Not only do you challenge, you have to make it palatable. So that's holding back your own need to defend or your expression to try to make it digestible for the person, but it's automatically going to be something revolting.
Try to make it as palatable as possible with empathy. To be in touch with parts of them that they can't think about yet. Empathy.
So Liz, you're at the part where you want to get revenge or you want to make him hurt. Which I don't want to dismiss because that's part of your emoting. But the danger of that is once you demonize that person, once you demonize someone else, you can't, your projection of them being a demon amplifies your resentment, and all your unresolved pain gets dumped on a projection of them that you're putting an overlay.
I understand.
When you do a projection overlay, now you can't play the game anymore. Because now you're fighting a ghost, you're fighting an image, you're fighting part of the past wounds he's had, the past wounds he did for you, reasonably, but he's forgotten that as part of the narcissist fast. They're fast. They're going to move on to the next thing. Their memory is fragmented, which is why they're stupid, but that makes them fast. So their edges, they're fast. Their weaknesses, they're stupid, or they don't change. So if you can see their humanity, then you can see their weaknesses. So you must always see their humanity, leave room for their vulnerability so you can exploit their weaknesses.
If you can see,
or that's after party.
Yeah, if you can see there's some loser muppet that you married, the problem with that then is you have to look at your own stuff as to why you did that. And that's probably part of this. But if you see him for who he really is and treat him accordingly, but you have to then own your side of that equation. And that's tough because then you end up feeling duped and conned and all those other things.
I think the revenge or the anger comes from just the fakeness that he portrays of trying to be this daddy of the year, especially in court, and, you know, making it like, oh, Liz doesn't let me do this and Liz doesn't work with me on that. And, you know, just wanting all this time, but not putting in the work of taking her to doctor's appointment. So overall, the fakeness, I think that's where the revenge comes from. Like, you're just so fake. And I just want you to.
Liz, how does it feel to be taken in by a con man?
It sucks. Sucks.
So can you stay with that?
What'd you say?
Can you stay with the feeling of it sucks to be taken in by a con man who's really not terribly bright and is full of bullshit?
Yeah, and I guess reminding myself that you're just bullshit, you bullshit, maybe it will deter that negative thought.
But with focus on you?
That it sucks. How did it hurt you, Liz?
Well, it hurts me because my daughter's in the middle of it. If my daughter wasn't in the middle of it, I would have closed my door and acted like I don't know you and I never knew you.
She's too raw. That's aggressive.
This is the experiential part.
While until she ripens up a little bit.
Because we can sense your emotions. Definitely the narcissist knows how to play you.
Get in touch with your emotion and express it here.
I think it's tough because I think we need to have some empathy for Liz because this is not easy to accept that, you know, what you're dealing with is a real twit who plays games, but that's part of the journey, I think. It's your feelings around that which are more important than what you're doing, yeah? Because you know, you'll feel duped, you'll feel conned, you'll feel all sorts of things, but only you can feel that.
Now, let's try to make an argument of why or how she's vulnerable. Because she hasn't felt that, or she's telling herself that she's over it. And then you can consider it on your own. If we were to just tell you to start feeling, or we to tell you that this is the right feeling, that would be gaslighting, which is common in support groups. Or that'd be validation.
I understand the vulnerability. It's hiding from the vulnerability and avoiding the feelings is my issue that I'm aware of.
So there's something called emotional granularity. And I forgot the name of the book and the author, but maybe it'll come in a minute, or I'll put in the comments if you read through the giant things. But if you have more words for emotions, you have more granular language. So if you can dive into vulnerability and say, am I vulnerable because I'm sad? Am I vulnerable because I'm duped? The more words you can put to vulnerability, the more psychological space you have to feel more emotions. Another pointer they use is say, name it to tame it. So there's some meditation practices where the more words you have to name, I'm feeling outraged. I have heat in my body here, and I'm outraged because of this and that. The more you can put words and descriptors into your feelings of vulnerability, your feelings of being duped, then you can sort of discharge the charge. You're not as vulnerable to your vulnerability. There's got to be a better word for that. So the more you can describe it for yourself, the less vulnerable you'll be to being manipulated by your ex or the next narcissist that you might run into.
Let's hope not.
And then there's a giant Wikipedia description. Kudos to Kurt. It's his birthday. He should just be celebrating. Look, he's helping you. We care so much about you, Liz. This whole meeting is just to try to save you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But I don't want it to be about me. I was trying to figure out how to get through this bullshit and read their bullshit and overcome the bullshit. And call them
Well, you have
out
to
on their
read through
bullshit.
it. There isn't really overcoming.
Yeah, there's no.
We're in America.
The only way.
It's all
the only
bullshit.
way through it is through it. You have to go through it.
Yeah.
Recognize that there's always a game going on. That's sort of what maybe the underlying pitch of today.
Yeah, and I guess because I'm not a game type of player, it could be a little frustrating because it's like I don't want to play this game. I'm more of a honest, straight to the point type of person. So it's like, oh man, now I got to figure out what your intentions are. It's like more work than necessary.
Are you sure you have no gaming skills in your DNA? Are you sure?
I don't think I have the gaming skills in my DNA, to be quite honest, at all. And I think that's my downfall. Is my sister tells me all the time, you got to play the game. You got to know how to play it. I'm like, what game? I don't want to play games. Like, so I think that's, how to understand the bullshit and, the game.
Yeah, but
Play the
not
game.
playing a game is a game in and of itself. You
Mhm,
can't
I know.
avoid the game.
Good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, you're
You're
right. and
gaming the
that's what I do.
game with a metagame. That's how much of a
Mhm.
gamer you are.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, you wanted to get revenge on him. That's a game.
So let's throw this out here.
Yeah.
You're making an argument that you don't have any gaming skills. Let's see if this...
Yeah, manipulative is a dirty word, but we're all manipulative. So I talk about babies. Babies cry when they don't get what they want. You know, there's a reason why babies like to be held and bobbed up and down. It's because if you're holding a baby and you're bobbing them up and down, there's nothing else that you could possibly be doing that's useful, right? A baby knows that they have all of your attention when you're doing that. And do people call babies manipulative? I don't think they do, because babies are unaware of what they're actually doing. But when a toddler throws a tantrum or a baby cries or any, you see, if you go anywhere where people are taking care of children, you see children just completely manipulating adults. And in some sense, actually not in some sense, in almost every sense, adults really cultivate that. They really cultivate their child's ability to manipulate them. They really cultivate their child's ability to manipulate them.
So babies are manipulative by nature. And they almost have to be, because if they're not manipulating, they starve or they feel uncomfortable, blah, blah, blah. The mother has to be manipulated because mother can't read the baby's mind. So Liz, were you born a baby? Did you have a time period when you were a baby?
Yes.
So do you think that you had some level of manipulation and gaming skills based on her argument?
Definitely. Even in my teenage years, I used some tactics to get away with certain things as a teenager.
See? So it's in you, you've grown up, and you sort of divorce yourself from those parts. But a narcissist, sometimes there's a theory that they have a developmental disorder. So they're stuck at age 2 or 5 or something. So they're still in touch with infant level or toddler level manipulation. Just look at Trump. A lot of his stuff was all toddler level playground tactics. So if your ex has access to that level of manipulation, the speed of it, of that gaming, if you don't reconnect with your teenage and younger year manipulation, gaming type self, you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah. So I gotta tap into my inner manipulative ways.
They call that, what do you call it? Reintegrating inner child or inner child work. Or...
Tap into your mean girl. That's what you need.
You get into the mean girl, then you can use the feminine strategies against an aggressive masculine strategies. That could work too.
Yeah, and I guess I was trying not to go into that mean girl, you know, because I know I can be that sarcastic, nasty type of person, and I know that I can be that way. I guess I'm trying not to bring that out in me, that negative energy, I guess, that ugly.
Are you sure that's the only reason?
No, I think another reason is because me being that ugly, sarcastic, demeaning person, how are you going to use that against me in court?
Ah, see?
To your advantage, yeah. So I think there's a yeah.
Oh, you have
You're
that
worried that it could be used against you.
Yeah.
Not used against me, but me basically poking at his ego. What is he gonna throw at me when it comes to court?
That's
Like make up
something
some
called
whatever.
reactive abuse. Narcissists are sort of good at that. Have you heard that term?
Yes.
Reactive abuse. So they actively try to
Get a reaction.
find your buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Get a reaction out of you. Get you to go.
Why don't you just play
shit
victim?
crazy?
Why don't you just play victim?
Yeah,
Why
my
does she play
sisters
victim?
tell me, play the sob story. You're the single
play victim.
mother and blah, blah, blah.
He's a man. Men are
Same
the
emotional abuse, all this abuse.
yeah.
It works really well in court. Judges don't have a defense for that.
Men are strong. Women are weak. Men are the perpetrators. Men abuse women. Done.
Even female judges have a little difficulty combating that.
Oh.
They have less difficulty in my experience, but maybe Debbie could give you a better read on that. But in my experience, they have a little bit less of a good read, a good defense for that. But for the most part, you're relatively safe in the court doing that.
Especially now. Especially now. You can get away with anything right now. Because of COVID, anything goes.
See? You could blame it on COVID. That's from Debbie. She works in court every day.
Take yourself down to Walmart, buy yourself the dowdiest outfit you can find, and front up and play victim. Look what this horrible man's done to me.
Yeah, you'll come out smelling like roses, and he will be just apoplectic. He will be just beside himself.
How's that the ones giving this advice? But anyway.
Maybe you do know how to play the cards right, and you're just not allowing yourself to go there.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess as for playing the victim, it's a little hard because I always want to have a hold on my stuff. So playing the victim, I guess, is like
you always want to have a hold on yourself. See, that's your
Yeah.
rule because you're scared of
It's method
losing
acting.
control.
Just get into the role, believe it, and take notes for yourself so you can unbrainwash yourself later. But for a while, just really believe the shit. You know, I'm a victim. I have no control over these things. The world has trodden on me. You know,
Turn up in a
and just
wheelchair.
buy into it. Yeah, just fully buy into it.
Put your arm in a cast or something, wheelchair, anything.
This is how we're closing up.
But it can be harmful to your health. I mean, look at what it did to the last guy that, or what was his name that played Batman that killed himself?
Oh, he's one of ours. Yes, another famous
Or
Australian.
not Batman, but Joker.
Joker, right? Yeah, Joker.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
That's,
very disturbing.
Took himself to a
extreme
very
method acting.
took himself to a very deep place, and he was already a troubled individual, and he went off the deep end.
Stop having a go at
But
Australia.
it wasn't an intentional overdose. I don't know that it was an intentional overdose.
Stop adding details to mess up the point. Come on now.
That's a
Listen, we got a narrative to execute.
I'm not sure about intentional taking a lot of drugs. Oops.
See, that's where you're messing with. Yeah. We can enjoy bullshit too. That's also part of the game. You have to play along with the bullshit, and then point it out with ridicule if you want to go through the work of actually taking apart someone's argument. Use the crowd. Use public shaming. That's a better tool.
Even with the public shaming, I'm noticing something I'm just trying to figure out, that it's because if I'm merged in a way with someone, then it's so much difficult to do it, even if intellectually you're not merged. But in your emotions and in your body, you're still kind of merged. So hurting them is like hurting yourself. That's what I'm...
Yes. So hurt yourself.
Therefore, you can make all the intellectual plans. I can do this. I can get this website from Ukraine, and I can just go social media. No one would ever know. But I'm hurting my own because I'm still enmeshed with it. See what I mean?
That's where you have to discipline yourself, so then you're willing to discipline the other person. If there's no self-discipline, then yes, it's very hard to
it's that enmeshment.
Discipline somebody else with restraint. You're just gonna, your unconscious shadow is gonna be blasted on the other person, projected. But that's how you learn anyways. You project onto others. And
you used to play a meme with Brandon, this is my lane, this is your lane. I think it's like, that's what I'm feeling like. The lanes, are, when they get merged, then you can't be disciplined. I can't be disciplined in that way to say, this is my lane, this is your lane. We were merged at one time, but now we're not. So you will...
No, if you can discipline yourself in your lane of what your behavior is supposed to be, and you hold yourself accountable to that, then if you're merged with someone else, you can hold them just as accountable because it's consistent. But you have to hold yourself to the equal standard. Because your brain has cognitive dissonance. So if you want somebody else to do something, discipline that you're not willing to do, that's the dissonance. So then you have to add projection so that they're separate, or you moralize, and now you can hold a higher standard onto somebody else.
Yeah. The issue is discipline, yes.
But without father figures to show you how to discipline, we have all our leaders. Who's disciplined? Was Trump disciplined? Was Biden disciplined? Where's a role model of a disciplined leader?
Only Putin.
Male or female?
Only Putin.
Yeah.
Putin. Oh, Putin does have some Trudeau and some other, but he's got evil discipline. But yeah.
He's the most benevolent.
Kim Jong-un. He's very...
Kim Jong, he's disciplined. He's our example. Okay, so we're running out of time for our formal session. Could we give new people some ideas about dealing with bullshit? Are you satisfied? Are you happy? Will you come back? We're very needy. We want to keep new people around.
Yes, it was very interesting and informative.
Yay.
I'll be
Kian,
back, of course.
We didn't traumatize you with too much reality.
No, not at all.
No.
Oh, that's a problem. What's the goal?
We'll do better next time.
Traumatized? No. Traumatized? No. But just
You got just as much trauma, more trauma from your abuser. Stop looking for abusers on support groups to amplify that they've done more abuse than you had from someone who tried to murderize you. Is that false equivalency? What was that? Orders of magnitude. That's a cognitive BS of not unfair comparison and orders of magnitude. Getting abused in this group is not equal to the abuse you got from your abuser, or is it?
No.
Because you go to codependent support groups, and now you can make the plea, and now you can get this fragile narcissism supply by beating up on weaker people, and then now you've become a mini narcissist. And that's fun for a couple years, or multiple years. So I guess we covered, that one. Multiple working hypotheses. So if it's only one reasoning, not enough evidence. Confirmation bias, and if it's too good to be true. So these are tips for spotting bullshit. Tips for spotting bullshit.